The audio on the last video cut out because the mic cut out. So what I'm gonna do is just make a quick video of me doing his. This is his second session of the day. So just like the last one, I want to keep the last one up because it was a good example of what he does on a daily. And now it's week 2, so we kind of make it a little more difficult by adding distance and a little bit of duration, meaning that everything that he does, he's gonna have to do it for a little while longer, right? So the things that I'm gonna go over the same things that I went over on the last video because you guys didn't hear it obviously. But what we do is we're gonna do our sits, our downs, our place, our recalls, and our heel position, right? So pay attention to when I click and when I tell him to do something. Because this week we're going to be working on more duration and more him having to stay in those positions, right? So we'll first start off with our place, buckle place. So he knows this. He knows that there's a consequence for breaking it. So now we're going to do is we're going to start to test him, right? So even though we're testing him, we're still going to give him a correction for breaking it because everything that we tell him to do, he has to continue doing until I tell him to stop doing it. So he has to stay on place until I tell him to come off of place. So he comes off before I tell him to. Put pressure on him, put him back. All right. That's the name of the game, right? So all we're doing is having him sitting there for a couple seconds. For most of the time, because I'm explaining stuff, it's going to be a little longer, but it's going to be about 10 seconds that I'll have him sit and wait, and then we're going to build off of that. But place. Good boy. Very nice. Place. And we're not going to do too many reps of it because I want to keep him interested in this. He has a kind of a short attention span, so I want to keep it interesting for him, right? So right here, I don't really like how he's standing on the edge, so I'm going to give him a sit. Sit. Good boy. So now, if he breaks my place and my sit, he has no reason to feel like I corrected him for no reason, right? Because I gave you 2 commands, and you not only broke one by standing up, you broke the other by coming off of place, right? Good boy. So with the same sense, since he held both, he gets a bigger reward if he finds the one on the floor. There you go. Very good. So we're going to do one more. Rocco place. So no pressure because I want to see if he'll do it on his own. He did it. Fantastic. Sit. Good. So I want to kind of show him that he doesn't have to be pressured into everything. There's a way for him to avoid the pressure, and that's just by beating the pressure to it. So if he does it before I can get the leash situated, then he doesn't get any pressure, right? Click. Good boy. Click always means there's food coming. Every time you hear the click or every time you click the button, you should be prepared to reward him with food. So now we'll do the same thing. Place. So we're going to work our sits and our downs at the same. We worked our sits and our place at the same time. So we're going to work even more reps of place with our downs. Down. So with this, I give him pressure because he gave me a sit instead. Pressure him all the way down. As soon as he gets down, pressure turns off. I walk away. Here's his duration. He gets up. Down. We're just going to bother him until he goes down, right? So he's real stubborn about his down specifically. So it takes me to bother him a little bit. So I'm not popping him hard. I'm literally just going like that. Just tapping him until he's so annoyed that he wants to turn it off. Once he does, I stop, bag up, mark it by clicking, and reward him. So the method to everything is the command. If he doesn't do it, make him do it with your leash pressure. However long you want him to continue doing whatever you want him to do, you click. And when you click, you reward him. That's how the transaction goes with everything. So I didn't tell him anything, so he came right off. Place. Right? So now he has to stay. Down. So he's thinking about it. So he knows that he's supposed to down. That's why I give him pressure. Right? He knows that he's supposed to go down. You saw his leg kick out. He's like, should I? I'm not going to do it. So I have to use my prong collar, his prong collar, to show him like, yes, you have to do it. You have no choice. So correction. So those are going to be a little harder, right? Bring him back because he did what I told him not to do. Down. And all of this is just reps. So in the end result is not going to really look like this. But as we're training, we have to show him that there is an or else to everything. Like you can't, what I'm telling you to do is not a suggestion. I'm telling you to do this because you have to. Good boy. That's why the reward comes in handy so much, because I'm able to leverage things. So I don't necessarily use treats with him. What I use is his normal food, and he is learning that he has to, in order for him to in order for him to eat, he has to do these exercises, right? So place, this is going to be his, basically his dinner, right? And if we do a third session, that'll be like extra food basically. So he got off a place, I put pressure on him, put him back on place. Good boy. Down. He's not the biggest fan of me petting him, which is fine. So you saw how he was going down and he stopped, so now I'm going to keep the pressure on. So look how I'm using 2 fingers right here. I'm just going to keep bothering him because this is the learning process of this, right? He has to learn that he doesn't have a choice in this matter. So if I could go purely positive with it, I would prefer it, but because he's older, and he knows better, he knows that he can try to manipulate me, right? Down. Right? So I have to show him that you can't just get away with this. Once I tell you to do it, you have to do it. So with this one, we're going to start working on his recalls. Recalls being whenever I tell him to come to me, he walks up to me and he has to sit in front of me close enough for me to grab his collar, and then I will mark and reward. So he has to come up to me, sit, and be close enough for me to grab his collar. So the way that looks is, Rocco, come. I'll lure him all the way in, bring him up to the sit. I can touch his collar. Perfect. Mark reward. Right? So he's still a little unsure, a little uncomfortable with me touching him. That's perfectly fine. He's not being any type of he has not showing any type of aggression. He's just uncomfortable. And the way that you can see that he's uncomfortable is like he'll pin his ears back. So, for example, Rocco. Oh, now you want to be all lovey-dovey, right? So you see how he's checking me right here, which is fine. Most people, when you place, most of the time when you guys get him back, you don't want random people touching him anyways. So him being uncomfortable with random people, I mean, he's been here for a week. Down, he's been here for a week, but he's still not comfortable with like somebody he's only known for a week to touch him. For the most part, he's cool with it. I've brushed him. But like when you guys get him back out in public, you don't want people just touching on him and stuff like that, because you never know how he'll react. Me as a trainer, I can kind of see his how comfortable and how his body language is to know when to back off of him and when to give him his space. So he came off, correction, put him back. So I clicked on accident. I'll give him a reward for getting on just because I clicked, because I want the clicker to always mean food. So I clicked on accident, so I'll just give him that one. Sit. Rocco, come. Walk him all the way in. It's close enough for me to touch his collar. Boom, I'm touching his prong collar. Click, reward. Very good, buddy. So we'll do one more. Rocco, place. Good. That was really good. So I'll reward him for that. Sit. Good boy. Rocco, come. Good. Notice how I'm not putting any pressure on him for the recall, right? So the only time I'll put any pressure on him is if he doesn't move. If he doesn't move, I'll kind of pull him forward a little bit. Not a pop, just a little guidance forward. So our next thing is going to be our walking. So our position for our walking. So all it is getting him over to my left side and sit down next to me. Since this is week 2, we're going to start moving to where he has to stay in that position. So on our morning walks, he's not allowed to go on my right side. He's not allowed to walk too far in front of me, too far behind me, or too far out to my side. He has to stay on my left side because I don't want him to feel like he can just go out willy-nilly. So when we do our go home, we'll see where you guys are comfortable with him walking, and then we'll position him there too. But this is how I get him to walk on his side. And it's usually just really just keeping him responsible. Once I give him the command to walk with me, I enforce it, right? So the positive way of doing this and showing him where to be before I even give him any pressure is just to show him how to get into the right position. Rocco, let's go. So I tell him, let's go. I bring him around, put him in a sit, click, reward, right? Because this is about where I want him to walk normally, right? So that's just me showing you. So since it's week 2, good. Since it's week 2, we're gonna start taking a couple steps. Rocco, let's go. And I want him to stay right there. So by doing that, I'll have him focus on the food. I'll start moving forward. Good. That's all I want, right? I don't need him doing a perfect competition style heel. All I want, let's go. All I want him to do is just stay next to me. And we start with baby steps. Good. And notice when I click, I start coming backwards because I want him to be more focused on me and the food than what's going on out in the environment. Good. Let's go. Good. So again, if you guys don't necessarily want him to walk like this, militant and all on your side, and you want him to have a little more freedom, then we can definitely get it the same way as that too, because it doesn't have to be like this. So let's go. He can walk a little more normal. So let's go. Right. So I personally don't mind if he walks a little loose. I don't need him tight on me, but I do need him next to me. Right. So this is how we normally walk in the mornings. Good. Good boy. Let's go. Good. See, he broke his attention, put pressure on him, bring him back. Let's go. And then we're off. So I'll throw in some turns. I start off with inside turns. And when I tell him, I don't tell him anything when we do inside turns, right? When I do an outside turn, I do tell him, let's go. See? Because we don't want him to get lost. Outside turns are a lot more difficult, so I'm not going to be as hard on him with outside turns, right? Good. Good boy. Inside turns are more easy. Let's go. Little pop because he lost attention. Pop again. He lost attention. All I'm doing is if he's not looking at me or he's looking ahead, then I give him a pop because 9 times out of 10 he's going to be trying to sniff. He's going to be trying to go that way. Let's go. On the wrong side. So when they're on the wrong side like this, you just stop, bring him back. Good. Good boy. Just like that. So usually his second session is a little shorter than his first. Just because all we're doing is just making things a little more, doing the same thing we did in the morning, just make it a little more difficult. Down. Good. Good. I'm all tangled up in the leash. Down. Down. Keep on working it. Good. So you might notice that I say good a lot. Good basically means I like what you're doing. Keep doing it and you will get your clicker. So sometimes when I say good, I do give them a treat or two, but it's never as much as the click. The click is always more food than the good. The good is probably like literally one piece of kibble. And then the click is always like a small handful. Rocco, come, sit down. Down. Good. Let's go. Good boy. Place. Place. Good. Sit. Very nice, buddy. And then at the end of every session, we teach him. We play ball. Basically, we have the ball sitting here. And we'll just play ball. I'll toss him a ball. And what I've been teaching him is a get it and take it. So he gets that one. Then he comes back, takes this one. Right? It's just a trade off. So what this does is helps with him learning how to let go of the ball. Right? So if I throw this one, he let go of this one. Perfect. Grabs it, brings it back, drops that ball, grabs this one. So he's letting go of the ball and getting instantly rewarded for that. So out. This is where we are, right? So when I tell him that, he wants to pull. Typical shepherd behaviors. Out. Good. And he gets instant gratification when he lets go. Good boy. We'll do this a couple times, really until he tires out and stops wanting to play, which is fine. Out. Good. Good boy. Take. Take. Good. Out. Get it. And that's it, guys. take